If it's Monday night, it's the wrestling forum. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Please do not adjust your sets. It is indeed the cerebral viper himself, Michael Flecha. I am taking over the show tonight. Unfortunately, Anthony Florio has some technical. His internet decided to be a nog and a diva tonight and was pulling a lot of Dinkelbergs on him. And he gave me the message that he was unable to do the show. Therefore, he let me take over the reins for tonight and tonight only. And I am also alongside my partner in crime, the Phenom, Mr. Michael Bullock. And what we're going to do is we're going to run a two-man weave tonight. Run WWE Monday Night Raw tonight, and we will cover everything, all the ground, as we are continuing the road to the Night of Champions. And we're going to kick it off with a promo segment, guys. And it was with the reigning, defending WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. And I'm going to pass it, and it was actually interrupted by Sheamus, of all people. With that said, Michael Bullock, you lead it off, my friend. So what did you think about the segment?
All right. Thank you very much, Cerebral Viper. This is the Phenom Mike Bullock here for another edition of the Wrestling Forum. Delighted to be here as always. Of course, hopefully you all had a great Labor Day weekend. I did, and of course, I'm pretty sure Mike Flecha probably did. So, yeah. So I thought this was a good segment here to start off. Of course, Seth Rollins doing his usual cocky, snarky way, basically saying, I'm Seth Rollins, and I'm the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and that I'm gonna beat John Cena and Sting and have a chance to cement my own legacy. So basically, yeah. So basically, of course, well, you forgot one thing, Fletch. Sting interrupts and basically came from an undisclosed location, and he's got the statue of Seth Rollins, and Sting says, you know what, Seth, you are the man. You're the man without a statue, and here it is right here. And then he says, you know what, if you want it, come and get it. And then just before Seth Rollins can leave the ring and try to go after it, Sheamus comes out to the ring with the briefcase and basically, yeah, and then of course Seth basically makes fun of Sheamus, says, do you realize how stupid you look? And Sheamus is basically here to just remind Seth Rollins, hey, I got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I can cash in and win the WWE World Heavyweight title anytime I want to. So if I were you, I'd watch your back. So I thought this was a fine segment here to start off this edition of Raw. So with that being said, Fletch, I give it to you.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I thought this was a solid way to start Monday Night Raw. It was a very good segment. I would say, or the one big takeaway that came out of that segment, for the most part, and I think a lot of the fans will even admit this as well, is how they're incorporating Sting. I love the fact that he's messing with Rollins, he's messing,
Oh, we got
with the
Anthony Florio
statue.
here.
Yes, we do, and we're actually going to let Anthony in just a matter. What? Let me just finish my thought, and then hopefully Anthony will let you in uh, momentarily. And what I was going to try to continue on was about the situation and what happened tonight, and the way that Sting was messing with Seth Rollins, making the mind games, playing it on a whim, and making him really think, with everything that's been going on. Because remember, Sting is the #1 contender. He's fighting for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Night of Champions. So, I mean, Rollins has a lot on his plate because not only has he got to defend that title, but he also has got to defend the United States title against John Cena. And normally, when you're that preoccupied, when you got so much on your plate, Sheamus is thinking in his mind, hey, this is the perfect opportunity for me because of the fact that a, you got to play twice in one night. You're not at 100%, and that might be the perfect opportunity for me to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Now, is that going to happen? We'll wait and see. We'll see all cards on the table on the Night of Champions. So we'll wait and see what happens there. So let's just get right into it. The first fight of the night, well, Michael Bullock, are you ready for some hot diva action? As it was Paige going one-on-one with former NXT Women's Champion and one of my personal favorites, the Boss, Sasha Banks. And Sasha Banks got the win. She beats up. Actually, you know what? Anthony, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you, Florio.
Yeah, we can hear you, Florio. Anthony, say
that,
what?
Yeah. So what's that? What am I reviewing here?
I want you to review our opening segment. It was the Seth Rollins being interrupted by Sting and by Sheamus. It looks like he's still got the technical difficulties. Yep, he still does.
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to go on.
We're going to have to go on without him. All right, so let me get into the Diva fight. Hopefully Anthony can come back if he does anything. Look, let's call it the way we see it. This was a 2-star fight. This was actually a very good fight, a very entertaining match, to say the very least. Basically, Paige got the early control. Sasha made a good comeback. Yes, we had the dreaded commercial in between the fight. Michael Bullock, and I know, Anthony, you guys despise that, and I know you're going to get into that in a little bit. But then after the break, we see that, Sasha took Sasha had the advantage, and we found out why, because of Tamina. Now, here's the thing, guys. They dropped her last name. She's only now being known as Tamina, no longer Tamina Snuka, as many people may know. Superfly Jimmy Snuka got himself into some big time trouble, was arrested, and was charged with basically third-degree murder, and basically is now looking at possibly 3 to 32 years in jail. So what WWE did is they basically made Tamina drop the Snuka name from her character, so now she's just gone by Tamina from here on in. And what happens next is basically she gets a little bit of a cheap shot on Paige, and then the great finish right towards the end. Basically, it looks like Paige was going for the Scorpion crosslock. Naomi jumps up on the ring. It gets a little chaotic after that. The next thing you know, it is at the end. It turned out to be Sasha Banks getting a humongous victory, a steel victory, as they would say, the 1, 2, 3, and she wins the match. 2 stars for me is my rating. Anthony, are you there? And if you are, then I'll let you do the beginning and the Diva fight. Sasha Banks and Paige. Go ahead, kid. It's all yours.
I think I don't think we have him, Fletch.
All right, then go ahead, Michael.
I'll take it.
Take the Diva fight.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll go to maybe to teetering on 2.25 stars for this match. I mean, I do agree. I mean, this was a solid match, and I know Fletch is expecting me to go off on the whole commercial break thing, but I'm not going to do that because when you go to commercial breaks, then you know you're on your way to a good match here. And I thought it was good for what it was during the time. But yeah, we did get a little chicanery from Naomi and Tamina, but despite that, I mean, a nice win for Sasha Banks. So now what happens next? We're just gonna have to wait and see when it comes to these two. So 2 to 2.25 stars is my rating. So with that being said, Fletch, I say we just move on, which with a tag team match that I'll talk about.
Yes, and indeed we are, and it was the Ascension going up against Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. And when it was all said and done, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns won the match. 2 minutes and 50 seconds was the time of the fall. Michael Bullock, you like you said, you lead off.
All right. Match was definitely way too short for my liking. But I'm gonna go somewhere between half to 1 star because we did have a little bit of all right action here for what it was. I mean I mean they're basically trying to make Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose look good for their match at Night of Champions, which of course, if you've been living under a rock, they announced over the weekend that uh, it's going to be Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and a mystery partner going up against the Wyatt family. So, yeah, now the only question is who's going to be that third partner. But all I can say is when it comes to the Ascension, man, they're beginning to look like a dud enhancement team. And you know what? I just feel so bad for them because over at NXT, they had a nice long, I mean, I think it was like over a year reign as the NXT Tag Team Champions, and we were expecting big things from them once they get the call to the main roster, but not looking good for them. So half to 1 star for me, but then of course we get the Wyatt family appearing on the promo, and Bray Wyatt basically says that he is their destruction, and he sends a warning to anybody who would be dumb enough to join Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. So yeah, so half to 1 star for me. Fletcher, I give it to you.
Yeah, I'll see you halfway with that. I'll say at least a half a star is my rating, even though I think we can definitely go on the verge of an NA. But I mean, it was all right for what it was worth. I like the action was a little fast. It wasn't as crisp as anything that we've seen in the past. So no, I agree with what you've been saying. So we'll just move on. And the next thing we had was okay, you know what? I'm gonna totally disregard this because there was a segment. Um, Actually, no, we'll go into that a little bit later on tonight. Um, here's the next thing we got. It was champion versus champion, the Intercontinental Champion Ryback versus the United States and WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. The winner of the bout in 17 minutes and 42 seconds. It was Ryback. So I'll say this: fight of the night, 3 to 3.5 stars is my rating for the fight, and this was a tremendous match. The way that they booked this, the psychology of the fight, and plus, yes, at the end, what really took this as a major league holy cow moment was because again the Stinger showed up. Sting showed up on the Titantron. basically mocking and messing with Seth Rollins, with the statue, with his statue there at ringside, well, on the Titantron tonight. And the next thing you know, then basically it was the roll up of doom, the 1, 2, 3, and that ended that. And then Sting really started messing and screwing around with Seth Rollins by putting the Sting mask right over the statue, basically saying that maybe it's his time to be the champion of champions. At the Night of Champions, we'll wait and see. I mean, it was a good fight and it was a tremendous match. I think the ending could have came off a little better, but it didn't, and it was kind of a little, I don't know, it kind of felt a little cheap. Let's just say it like that. So with that said, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
I agree. This was definitely the fight of the night. I'll say 3 to 3.5 stars as well. To maybe teetering on 3 and 3/4. I mean, the match was definitely. I mean, it was a very good match here and a surprise outcome. I mean, because we all thought Seth Rollins was basically going to go over on Ryback, but but no. I mean, but like I said, the match was good for what it was, and then all of a sudden, I mean, just as it looked like Seth was going to get back into the match, out Sting comes up on the screen again, and he basically is saying, "This, me and the statue are here waiting for you." And then, as Seth Rollins basically heads back to Ryback, Ryback with the dreaded roll up and gets the 1, 2, 3 win. And yes, I mean, of course, you know how much I don't like matches ending in roll ups. I don't like it. Not a big fan of it. Yeah, so so a very good match here. So 3 to 3.5 stars to teetering on 3/4. Well, 3 and 3/4, I should say. Um, yeah, so really got nothing else to say except Fletch. Let's move on to the next segment, which I will get into.
You might want to cover your head, and this might be the Michael Bullock I can't take it, because this was the Summer Rae segment of the show. This was where Summer Rae basically spewed her guts about everything that's been going on, especially after last week's Monday Night Raw, when, well, she saw Dolph Ziggler in the buff, and the next thing we know, we had Rusev and Ziggler out there. Well, it's the Michael Bullock I can't take it face says 1,000 words. Now you're gonna hear 1,001 from the Phenom. Bullock.
Oh my gosh. Uh, I mean, what was the point of this segment, really? I mean, I can understand you're trying to continue this whole thing with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev, and especially Summer Rae, but uh, this is beginning to be like some sort of a soap opera situation here. Ugh. I don't. I wasn't a big fan of this segment at all. I mean, it was. I could literally give two craps about this, but and well, basically Dolph comes out and but that I mean, but here's the thing: Lana's not there because we did find out earlier in the day she got hurt. She hurt her wrist and is going to be out of action for 4 months. So you're not going to be seeing the ravishing Russian for quite a long time. And I hate to say this, but I think our 2015 is over. So, and of course now we did get the announcement that it's going to be Dolph Ziggler against Rusev at Night of Champions. So hopefully this time around we won't get some kind of a cop-out finish, well, like we did at SummerSlam with the double countout and then the disqualification that we had on last week on Raw. So the segment, Nah, didn't like it. Move on.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It was a train wreck and a half. Um, and the thing is, they're trying to do this TNZ style setup, trying to make it look like, you know, it just came off wrong. It came off bad, and there's no more life to the story. I think they should just abandon this storyline now. Hopefully, once they get this fight over and done with between Rusev and Ziggler, that they could finally blow this angle up, because there's no need to continue this angle because of the fact that Lana did get hurt. She actually broke her wrist, so she is out for 4 months. And yes, her 2015 is done. She will not be back until at least January of 2016, is the rumors that we're getting tonight. Um, it's a horrible situation. So, I mean, I understand why they were catering this storyline. This was supposed to be initially, Summer Rae being the new Lana, after Lana basically dumped Rusev after the weeks and months of mistreatment that Rusev did to her. But it kind of staled out a little bit because of the fact that Rusev was not in ring action and everything else, because he was suffering an injury on his own. And now here we are, just a few weeks later on, and now we're looking at Rusev and Ziggler about to get their, it looks like their third fight now. But this time around, there's really no need for this storyline to continue. So I say is, once this fight at Night of Champions is done, this should be put to the back burner and over and done with. I don't think there's really any need for us to continue the storyline now that Lana's out. I mean, they should abandon these plans, whatever plans they had going forward. It's basically, it's a moot point now. It's mute. You can't do nothing with it anymore, because one of the key essential figures of that storyline is now out. So, all right, so we're gonna move on. The next fight we had was Sheamus going one on one with my man, my favorite, the reason why I am known, well, one of the reason characters that I was known as, the Cerebral Viper, the Apex Predator himself, Randy Orton.
I've
He
been
went
waiting
up
to see
against
that pose.
he went up against Sheamus tonight, and the winner of the bout was Randy Orton. He won the fight. Solid fight. 2 stars is my rating for the fight. It was very good, very, very. It was what you expected between Sheamus and Orton. A lot of good interaction, a lot of good back and forth, a lot of good near fall, great moments in the fight. Um, but the post fight really caught a lot of people off guard, because the Wyatt family showed up and jumped the Viper. They literally defanged them here tonight on Raw. It shocked us. Um, Maybe they were just trying to take one of the ammunition out of one of the supposed people that maybe they were looking at, possibly Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose was looking at, possibly bringing in as the third member. And they cut the Viper. Well, they cut the head off the Viper before he could even strike first. So unfortunately, we don't know if that means Orton might be the selection now. We don't know, because we've heard a lot of rumors on the dirt sheets, who it could be. Maybe WWE is trying to throw the IWC off the scent, and trying to say, okay, let's have them think that now that we jumped Orton, maybe Orton's the guy that's going to get the opportunity. We'll wait and see what happens. 2 stars is my rating for the fight. Michael Bullock, it is all yours.
All right. Yeah. I'll agree. It was about a 2-star match for what it was. I mean, yeah. I mean, the match was definitely a good one here. And this was the rubber match between these two guys. Yeah, I'm trying to. But like I said, the match was good for what it was. The action was good. Yeah, and I mean, the ending was definitely really good. I mean, Orton basically goes for an RKO the first time, and then Sheamus sidesteps him. It's the roll up and doesn't get it, and then finally Orton nails the RKO. 1, 2, 3. He gets the win. And then just as Randy Orton leaves the ring, and then the Wyatts show up on the screen, and then it goes to black, and then here are the Wyatt family confronting Orton, because remember, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns were basically talking to Randy Orton about being the third guy. Well, if they had any thoughts of that, well, I think it was definitely put to the back burner, but because basically Orton got fed to the Wyatts, and it didn't look good for Randy Orton, and Luke Harper hits him with a kick, then Bray Wyatt attacks, and then basically they continue to beat down, and then if that wasn't bad enough, Orton gets fed to Braun Strowman and hits a bear hug, and basically drops Orton, and then hits him basically hits him with some sort of like a power bomb, and then so this is basically the Wyatts sending a message to any superstar who's thinking of joining Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. Well, you saying, you know what, you be stupid enough to join them to face us, because you will get beaten down and you will follow the buzzards. So the match was definitely good. So 2 stars is my rating. So with that being said, Fletch, let's move on to our next match.
Okay, and you're gonna get to lead off on this one. It was another tag team match. It was Los Matadores against those damn Dudleys. And yes, oh my brother, testify on this one. The Dudleys wins the bout. Michael Bullock, it is all yours.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to say this one. This was an absolute dud. This was the worst fight of the night. I mean, they just want to continue to make the Dudleys look really good in their return, but yeah, this was definitely not a good match at all. I mean, after the match, basically El Torito was telling Diego what happened, because remember, I mean, Fernando basically was slapping El Torito off the ropes, and there was, because El Torito was trying to do something, and then, seems like there's a little bit of a dissension, and then all of a sudden, the Dudley boys come out, and they come back in, and basically, well, Diego, well, he gets put through the table. So match was a dud, and you know what I gotta do when it comes to the Dudley boys winning? Oh, my brother! Oh, testify! Fletcher, it's yours.
Yes, indeed, and I'll agree with you. This was a dud. This was one of the worst. It was not only one of the worst fights of the night, but the worst fight of the night, no doubt about it. Like we said, the Dudley Boys are now the number one contenders. They're getting the opportunity to now become a 25-time tag team champions. Whoever would have thought that? But they are, and now we got to see what happens at the Night of Champions. Will they get number 25? We'll wait and see on that point. The next thing we had was a one-on-one match. Cesaro versus The Miz. Unfortunately, the fight ended in a double countout at 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Unfortunately, I got to lead off on this one. And man, So disappointed with this fight. I mean, even though I know it's the Miz and and Cesaro, I thought the fight itself could have been a lot better. But then they brought out the Big Show. He started chasing Miz around. It's like a cat and dog type thing. The fight ended up um as a double count out. It was just a complete and utter mess. I don't know why they brought Big Show out. Basically unnecessary, not even worth the time at all. It was just a bad fight, and this is a damn shame because Cesaro is so damn good, one of the best performers in WWE today. And you saw the Cesaro section. There was at least a little more people in the section tonight. I know Mike Bullock is a member of that Cesaro section. I'm so disappointed with the way this turned out. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. So, 1 star just for the mere effort. Bullock, it's yours.
I'm sorry, Fletch. I'm gonna have to give this an NA here because I mean the match basically ended in a double countout. I mean, yeah, this was very disappointing to say the very least. I mean Cesaro is a damn good wrestler and he deserves way better than this. I mean, I don't know why they had to bring the Big Show out here. I mean, I can understand you trying to continue this whole thing with the Big Show and the Miz, but it's it's already becoming at the point of go away. If I'm going to be quite honest here, I mean, ugh. I mean, Cesaro's a damn good wrestler. He deserves way better than what he got right here. I mean, Cesaro's had some damn good matches. I mean, especially with the two matches we've seen with Kevin Owens, and this is a guy I want to continue to see get a big time push, and for him to get treated to a bad match like this, it's pointless, unnecessary, unacceptable, inexcusable, irresponsible, and borderline reprehensible. Done. Finish. NA. Fletcher. Please, let's move on.
All right, we're gonna move on in the next in-ring segment, and it was Team Bella, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Alicia Fox that gets interrupted by Team PCB, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Paige. Basically, they all came out, and here's a program for all you great fans out there. Next Monday night could be history in the making. If Nikki Bella survives the night, she becomes the all time record holder for the longest reign as WWE Divas Champion. However, what we just found out during the show tonight is that Charlotte Flair has actually went to the authority and has actually got her fight moved up. Therefore, next Monday night on Monday Night Raw, it is Nikki Bella versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Divas Championship. So, with that said, Michael Bullock, you lead off.
All right. I mean, I thought this was a good segment here. I mean, basically, basically Alicia Fox, basically introducing us to the fearless leader of the quote unquote divas, which is of course Nikki Bella, and basically continuing to count down the days of becoming the longest reigning divas champ ever, and that basically saying that Team Bella is the Divas Revolution, and that there's going to be a, a crazy celebration where bottles will be popping, the music will be blasting, and fireworks will. Well, unfortunately, Charlotte comes out and basically she tells Nikki that that we all know they love a party, but for some reason we weren't invited. So she said, you know what? I went to the authority, and next week I'm gonna beat you, take the title, and spoil your chance to break the record, and then ending it with the famous woo when it comes to that. I mean, man, now we get the match next week. Nikki Bella defending the Divas Championship against Charlotte Flair. Uh, as much as I hate to say this, and I know if Florio were here right now, he probably would rip me to shreds for this, but I'm going to be quite honest with, I get this bad feeling that Nikki Bella is going to beat Charlotte and become the longest reigning Divas champ ever. Don't get me wrong. I really want Charlotte Flair to win it and become the Divas champion, but I think WWE wants to have Nikki Bella surpass AJ Lee as the longest reigning champion ever. I hope I'm wrong on this, but I just get this bad feeling, and I'm just going to go on the record as saying this. Nikki Bella is going to win that match and is going to become the longest reigning Divas champ ever, just so they can put AJ Lee to the back burner. And yeah, don't get me wrong, Charlotte's good, but she's real good, but because they want Nikki Bella to break that record, I think she's going to go over next week. I'm sorry to say it. So the segment was good, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week. Although I do have this bad feeling Nikki Bella is going to win. So Flecha, I give it to you.
The way I feel about the segment was that I thought the segment was good. I thought it handled itself very well. I thought everything was fine for what it was worth. Now, to get on your point about who I think is going to win the fight, I could see this being a no count out or a DQ finish where I think Charlotte will win the fight, but she won't win the belt. I could see Nikki Bella, deliberately getting counted out, and that would preserve the breaking of the record, but it also gives Charlotte one more chance at winning the belt because I think we all will agree that Charlotte Flair is so close to the belt she can taste it. And I think she's gonna get the belt. Now, does she get it next Monday night or does she get it at the Night of Champions? That's really the $1 million question. I think we all agreed that going into it, we were thinking, all right, it's going to be the Night of Champions. Nikki Bella will have over 300 days as the reigning champion, and I think the break will be there. But then all of a sudden, we hear, oh no, now Charlotte has demanded her shot. She got the okay, so she's now fighting for the title next Monday night, which is oddly enough the night where Nikki is supposed to break the all-time record. She would have, at that time, tied the record with AJ Lee, but if she ends Monday Night Raw with that record, she would have broken the all-time record. So that's going to be a major, major, major factor. Do they pull the trigger and have Nikki lose the belt, and then basically Charlotte becomes, or do they do it in a way where Nikki keeps the belt, breaks the record, and then next week she drops the belt to Charlotte at the Night of Champions? So, there's two scenarios I'm thinking, but the one I'm thinking is that Charlotte will win the fight next week, but I think what's going to happen is either Nikki gets herself disqualified or she's gonna run away from the fight, basically get counted out. She'll break the record that night, and then you're gonna see Charlotte Flair break the basically end the reign of Nikki Bella. So I could see it go like that. So we'll wait and see what happens. So we're gonna move on, and yes, it was the main event of the night, which was um, Seth Rollins and the New Day versus the Primetime Players and John Cena. The winner of the bout was John Cena and the Primetime Players. Basically, John Cena got the AA, got the attitude adjustment on Kofi Kingston at 12 minutes and 55 seconds. And I'm going to say it. I thought this was a very good match. I'll even say maybe second best fight of the night in my opinion. And it was I'm going to give it between 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. I thought this was a solid main event, a good TV quality fight, to say the very least. There was a lot of good action, you know, back and forth throughout the fight. Um, Basically, it started out with Rollins and the New Day taking the early control. Definitely once we get into the break, and then um, basically what happens is that Kofi comes back and he starts taking the advantage. They start working him over. They start working Cena over, basically beating him down. And then you got the hot tag, the Titus O'Neil. O'Neil starts going on a huge rampage in the fight as well. Then it looked like Cena was gonna go for the AA on Rollins. He was able to manage to tag Kofi in. Kofi tries to do a high cross body, gets thrown right in an AA, an attitude adjustment. One, two, three. The fight was over. And then John Cena did something that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about. He and the primetime players, they started playing some millions of dollars celebration on that. But then if Seth Rollins' night did not go from bad to worse, this got really bad for Rollins. The next thing you know, Sting appears once again at the on the big Titantron, and he basically mocks Seth Rollins in the that he lost the fight, the whole 9 yards. The next thing you know, he's like, you know what? Cue the lights. So you see this big, huge dump truck, a truck that normally throws the garbage. It was a garbage truck. The next thing you know, Sting pushes the statue, and it wasn't a legitimate statue, because if it was a legitimate statue, a statue would not have fallen the way it did. Because if it's like a true WWE type statue, you got to put some force into dropping something like that. So basically, Sting pushes the statue into the compactor. The next thing you know, crush the Seth Rollins's statue that was specially made for him after becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and the United States Heavyweight Champion. The deal that he had from the Authority, he got from the Authority, is now a pile of rubble. And Sting leaves the arena. There's really nothing more to say. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star, and well, an okay way to end what I believe was a very lackluster Monday Night Raw. The overall review is coming in just a little bit, but before then, Michael Bullock, give us your thoughts.
All right. What did you give for your rating for the match, Fletch? I didn't hear you.
I did 2.5 to 2 3/4.
Yeah, I think that's about correct. 2.5 to 2 3/4. I thought the match was fine for what it was. There was some good action, and basically after the match, like you said, once again, Sting shows up on the screen to distract Seth Rollins, and basically pushes the statue into the trash, and then crunch, no more statue. And yeah, once again, Sting getting into the head of Seth Rollins, and definitely makes this WWE World Heavyweight title match more interesting, to say the very least. And the one thing I did get a kick out of was, of course, at the end of before all that, as John Cena and the Primetime Players were celebrating, John Cena actually got to do the whole millions of dollars thing with the primetime players. So that was very interesting to see. So 2.5 to 2 2.75. And I do agree. This did close out what I thought was a pretty lackluster edition of Monday Night Raw. So yeah, so Flecha, let's get into our overall thoughts.
And actually, you lead off on our overall review, so go ahead, Bullock.
Yeah, like I said, this was pretty much a lackluster edition of Monday Night Raw. I mean, yeah, you did have some good matches and some good segments. Well, the good segments, of course, with the Team Bella and Team PCB announcing, of course, it's going to be Nikki Bella and Charlotte for the Divas Championship, and of course the opening segment with Seth Rollins and basically being interrupted by Sting, and you had some good matches with Orton and Sheamus and John Cena and the Primetime Players against Rollins and the New Day, and then of course the fight of the night with Ryback and Rollins, but everything else was pretty much blah. So I'm gonna give it somewhere between. I'm gonna go 5 to 5.5 out of 10 is my rating for this Monday Night Raw. And man, I mean, after we've been getting so many good Monday Night Raws over the past few weeks, I mean, we knew at some point we were going to get a bad or a lackluster edition of Raw, and unfortunately, this was the night. So I mean, this was their last chance to try to wow us, because remember, next Monday night, it's the return of Monday Night Football. They're gonna be facing some stiff competition. So, well, and of course, remember, also tonight you also had, of course, that Ohio State Virginia Tech game that was going on. So, yeah, you can't forget about that. So 5 to 5.5 is my rating. Fletcher, I give it to you.
I got to go a little lower. Unfortunately, I got to say this was a 4 to 4.5 out of 10. I really did not like this Monday Night Raw. It was very lackluster, as we've been alluding to, and there wasn't really that many great fights tonight. I mean, the segments were all right for what it was worth. It started out with a good segment by Seth Rollins, and then but unfortunately, a lot of the fights throughout the night. I mean, we can say the Roman Reigns Ascension, that was basically, you could say NA to maybe a half star. Then the Dudley Boys, that was a dud. Cesaro and Miz, that was a dud. There was really not many that really stood out. I mean, other than the Seth Rollins versus Ryback and the John Cena Primetime Players versus Rollins and New Day. I mean, other than that, the average score was between a dud to only 2-star status. Then you had Rollins with a great segment at the beginning of the show that was pretty awesome. Then after that, then you had that horrific thing with Summer Rae, and I mean, nobody really cared about that segment at all, and it really brought the show down to almost a Debbie Downer. And then you had the Nikki Bella and the Team Bella versus Team PCB, which was good but not great. But other than that, I mean, it felt like they took the holiday off. Yesterday was Labor Day, and it looked like they basically packed this one in. They kind of felt like, well, nobody's probably going to watch it, so let's just throw whatever we want, and we'll get them next week. Well, they better get their act together, and they better do something better next week, because, like you said, Monday Night Football is back, and you're going to see a dramatic ratings drop, especially going into that, because there's 2 games next Monday night. Because remember, there's one game that starts at 7 o'clock, and then the late game, the West Coast game, starts around 10:15, 10:30. So they're going to really be hurting on that. So what we're going to do is now it's time for our shout out. So, Michael Bullock, you get to lead off, and then I will set the table for future content for the week. So, Bullock, it's yours.
All right. Of course, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in for this abbreviated edition of the Wrestling Forum. Of course, it is abbreviated when you only got two guys running the show. Of course, shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or the or strictly sports. It doesn't matter. We really appreciate it, and of course, we hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. So I know I did, and yeah. So, and of course, shout outs to our super fans: Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, Matt Ward, and Jason Hicksonbaugh. Of course, shout outs to our friends from our high school days: Al Bretterson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaiser Butler. Of course, shout out to the Grand Poobah himself, Derek Ferreira. Couldn't be with us. Of course, he was watching the Ohio State against Virginia Tech. Of course, Ohio State winning that game 42-24. Of course, shout out, of course, to Anthony Florio. Of course, having major hard times with his computer. So hopefully he gets everything all set for Friday night for week 2 of our Strictly Sports College Football Friday. So yeah, so that's going to pretty much do it for me. I'll say the rest of my shout-outs for Friday night for Strictly Sports College Football Friday. And until then, this is the Phenom and the Vice President of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement saying thank you all so much for listening to us. And, of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. God bless. Be good to each other. For now, Mike Bullock, so long. Fletcher, take us home and set up the future content.
You got it, my friend. First off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there who watches the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports. I hope you like this abbreviated version. Please like it. Please leave a comment. What was your favorite moment of Monday Night? Any favorite moments for you guys? I don't believe there will be few and far in between. But at the end of the day, we hope you enjoy this show. Thank you so much. Especially thank you to Anthony Florio for letting me run the show tonight. I'm so sorry that he had the technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll get it straightened out for Friday night for college football. As always, thank you as well just for being the host and giving us the opportunity and platform as always. To all the super fans out there, you guys already know who you guys are. To the guys in the junior high and high school days, you guys already know who you guys are. Love you guys as always. My 2184 crew, much love to you guys as well. And that is it. So Friday night is week 2 of college football Friday. We'll recap. We're going to break down all of the games, give our predictions, what we feel. Saturday night, the premiere of NFL Saturday, hosted by Derek Ferreira. We'll run down every single game and a special bonus on Wednesday night. We're going to preview the Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the opening kickoff game as well. And then we're right back here 1 week from now doing another edition of the Wrestling Forum, the Go Home edition for the Night of Champions. Hopefully by then, Anthony Florio will be back as the host. And until then, for Michael Bullock, I am Michael Flecha. You know the routines, everybody. The hand pounds, we out. Good night. You've been watching the Wrestling Forum exclusively on Braves Fan 95, a part of the Strictly Force and Wrestling Forum family of networks, exclusively on YouTube.com. Have a good night, everybody.